ESPN Sports. This is Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertsons Safeway.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Grizz Insider. Alongside voice of the Grizz, Riley Corcoran, I'm Kyle Hansen. It's our third episode, and Riley, all I can say is buzzing after that game against Ferris State.
I'm still on a different level, Kyle, from what we experienced inside Washington Grizzly Stadium. I mean, night games bring a different energy, but then you add all of the pomp and circumstance pregame, and then how the second half played out. With it being such a tight game, it had all the elements, and it created just an electric atmosphere.
I can't believe the way these night games go, right? Because we talked about it on the show last week. Everybody knows how these things typically play out, but at the end of the game, I was like, yeah, that checked every box. It's crazy.
It did check every box. I mean, and now you talk about just that extra element. That's 7 straight wins under the lights for the Grizz inside Washington Grizzly Stadium. And just, I mean, the pregame festivities, too. And I've got to ask you, I mean, you are the UFC aficionado here with Sugar Sean O'Malley. What was that experience like? I got the view from the booth, but you could tell the whole stadium was locked and the student section was as good as I've ever seen. But what was it like around the 37 flag when it was kind of revealed and he comes out with his pink hair and he's ready to rock?
It was crazy, man. It really was, because like I didn't know how I was going to quite expect with like the fans, because he's obviously so popular. You don't know like the limitations it's going to be with him. He shows up, everybody's already clogging up that area by the flag about 10 minutes before he even comes out. So you know it's going to be crazy. He comes out, all of a sudden people are chanting Sugar. You know, everybody's going crazy. He's feeding into it, which is exactly what you want to see. And then throughout the game, you keep looking at him. He's getting hyped. He's doing this. He is locked into the game, and then even more so, he stayed the whole game. Who does that?
I think that surprised me more than anything, and just he was rooting down there. He was ready to go, pumping up the crowd. I think it even exceeded his expectations.
I agree. I would totally agree, and I think one of the coolest parts was him celebrating with the guys afterwards, because as we'll talk about, the game was crazy. It was a very close game, but then you could tell the players coming over, greeting him. He was sitting there waiting, like rubbing his hands, and I think they were all just very excited to have him there, and it just added to what was a tremendous atmosphere in Washington Grizzly.
It was, and you know what? I love that Coach Hauck converts the moment too, because he'll say it. He's not the biggest UFC guy, but at the same time, he knew the gravity of the moment, and it was just so awesome to see everybody come together like
Agreed,
that.
100%. You know, just an awesome atmosphere. The night games are special. Let's talk about the game a little bit. Obviously, that first half was kind of back and forth. Ferris State leading 10-3 at half. You know, Garrett Graves gets that huge hit that potentially saves a touchdown. But, you know, Grizz come back in the second half and got the crowd involved, which I thought was very important.
Huge, and we were just talking about that as well. It felt the crowd was ready to bring their best, and they did in the second half, but there was not much to get excited about in the first half. And that thing turned into a slugfest, and I don't think that anybody really expected that. Clearly, Ferris State up front on both sides of the line, offensive line, defensive line, they passed the test, and they are they would be a top 25 FCS team. I don't think there's any question about that, but as that game played out, you could tell the Grizzlies needed to pull out all the stops. And I think the adjustments in the second half were so key, because then you did get the crowd and the factor and everybody kind of together on the same page in the second half, and that proved to be the difference.
And, you know, that second half, you obviously have Trevin Gradney, another pick. I mean, what can you say about the way he's been playing so far, right?
It's been great. I mean, 3 picks in 3 games, his best Justin Ford impression, right? When Justin Ford had 9 straight games with an interception. I mean, Trevin's on that pace right now, but the ball is finding him. He is just making all the right plays, and it's great to see. Not only that, the defense won the night, Kyle, and it was a Montana flavor. I mean, we're going to talk with Ryder Meyer later on in the show. Trevin Gradney, all 3 linebackers that started for the Grizzlies from the state of Montana. So that created an extra element that was the exclamation point on that win.
And as we were kind of talking off air, one of the key plays that maybe people might forget about is that down punt at the 1-yard line. Gets the crowd into it. You know, they're kind of trying to feed off the energy, and the player, there's the false starts. So you have that, and then obviously that final sequence, you have Levi Janicaro getting the sack, Garrett Graves another big hit, and then Ryder Meyer sealing it. It just felt like the defense and the special teams really helped them there.
Well, the defense and the special teams helped the offense kind of keep their way, and especially in the second half when the offense seemed to struggle a bit. And when all 3 are working together, Kyle, that's when the Grizzlies are at their best. Special teams provided the short fields. The offense was able to capitalize. That stand at the 1-yard line with the multiple false starts, I think that's what rattled Ferris State, and that proved to be the X factor.
It was definitely a wild night in Missoula, and we have a great show for you. Coming up next, Riley is going to catch up with Coach Hauck to talk about this game and what it was like from his perspective.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertsons Safeway.
And welcome back to the Grizz Insider. What a game it was on Saturday night inside Washington Grizzly Stadium. Montana knocks off Ferris State 17-10. Pleased to be joined by head coach Bobby Hauck. And coach, I'm not even going to get to the game before I talk about the atmosphere. What was it like during the game and then afterwards, being able to recap it a little bit, just to talk about how special that was?
You can see I'm still smiling ear to ear, man. It was just, it was great, Riley. It was so much fun. For us to have a non-conference game in September, I guess it's a good team, but one that maybe our fans didn't highly regard, and have a 27,000 people there in a stadium record, it was just awesome. It was so much fun, and everybody was having a blast, and I think including the two football teams.
No question about it. You guys certainly put on a show for everybody. And I go back to this, Coach, because I think the biggest question all week leading up to the game was, how good is Ferris State? Where could they compete in the FCS? And they clearly passed the eye test. And after playing them and going through 60 minutes of battle with them, I would ask you that question now. How legit were they? And as far as a battle-tested team, they passed all the tests.
I'd say, get some years of experience at the FCS level, and I'd say they're a top 20 team. They're probably better than 80% of the FCS teams. They're really good. They're a good-looking team. They're well coached. They're big and physical. There's a lot of big bodies on that sideline, and they can play. Yeah,
they certainly could. That game turned into a slugfest. Did that surprise you a little bit as you were going through the game plan? It became that defensive battle, and obviously your defense made the winning plays late. But as the game transpired, did that surprise you in any regard?
Well, it didn't surprise me. You never know how they're going to play out, right? Yeah. And we kept getting extra long yardage situations. We couldn't get to our stuff, and nothing really went our way for the most part. And to be able to grind it out and get a win was good.
It really was. And the message at halftime, you're down 10-3, right? There's nervous moments in the stadium. I know you guys are calm, cool, and collected there, but what was the message and what were those key adjustments in the second half that you guys made?
Well, we kind of talked about the things we weren't doing very well. We were getting run over up front a little bit on the offensive side, and we weren't getting the ball out, and there are a lot of things going on there. But really the message at halftime was, we're down 10-3, let's go take this game. Just go take it from them, and it's there. We're getting the ball first. Let's go, and our guys did.
Well, I know, again, you're going to love this, but special teams, to me, again, was the X factor. It was amazing. Junior Bergen, 2 punt returns that set you up in their territory. And then the Travis Benham punt, what he did again, pinning Ferris State down to the 1. That's when that Washington Grizzly Stadium was as electric as it was. But just talk about the impact of special teams and just how elite those plays really were.
Well, another week of guys making plays. Again, the return was set up by Garrett Graves making an unbelievable catch on that punt down at inside the 1. The defense gets them 3 and out, and we're in business again. So good special teams play in their end of the field leads to points, and it was enough.
Well, normally we like talking about the offense, but this was the day for the defense, right? And with what Ferris State was throwing at you with a ton of pre-snap motion and multiple skill position players, multiple quarterbacks in the game, what was so key defensively, and especially that linebacking core led by Braxton Hill? 15 tackles for him. It was a collective unit, but at the same time, defensively, what was so key in being able to shut them out in the second half?
There's a couple things. One, the defense was on point. The plan was good. The guys played really hard and executed. I didn't think our tackling in the first half probably wasn't the best it's been all year, maybe the worst it's been, but we got that straightened out. We had some big stops, but Ferris threw a lot of tough things at us. It's funny, the noise piece can be counterproductive for the defense because they can't communicate. It's all hand signaling because it's so loud you can't hear anything. I always like when the referees say, hey, tell him. I go, I can't hear you standing next to me. How are you going to tell anybody anything? But the defense was on the money. They played really well. They made critical plays down the stretch. We gave up 1 at the end that made it a little bit more difficult, but we got them stopped. And I just really thought the defensive players and coaches did a fine job.
Offensively, take me through the game through your eyes, and especially making the adjustments you needed to in the second half. But it was a struggle at times throughout the game. Credit to Ferris State for that. But just take me through the game offensively from your eyes.
Credit to them a bit. They made some plays in the first half. They got us behind the chains. We were behind schedule a bunch, and we could never get into a rhythm. We couldn't get into our call sheet. The call sheet in 2nd and 20 or 3rd and 15 is tiny compared to what it is normally. So we couldn't get into our stuff and into our plan, and it took a little bit to get it. The third quarter was good for us.
Well, I can't let you go here without asking about Sugar Sean O'Malley being in your locker room afterwards. How great was that, but more importantly for your team, and obviously the extra jolt certainly he provided.
He was great, and you get a world champion in a popular sport, especially with the guys in our locker room. World champ from Helena, Montana. It's great to have him in the locker room with our guys.
Well, it was great that you guys got to celebrate. Congrats on 3-0, Coach. And when we come back on the Grizz Insider, Kyle Hansen, we'll talk with Ryder Meyer.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Welcome back to the Grizz Insider, and I'm excited to be joined by junior safety Ryder Meyer. Ryder, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me, Kyle.
Absolutely. You know, you're having a great start to your season through these first 3 games. You're starting to see extended play on defense. So just walk me through what these first 3 games have been like for you as you've got a chance to start and lead the Grizzlies to a 3-0 record so far.
Yeah, starting out 3-0, you know, we're to the point where we want to be. Everything out there is for us, everything that we want to achieve. The good thing about being 3-0 at this point, we still have a lot of things that we can correct and do better. And so, you know, I'm excited to see where we go from this point on.
So walk me through what Saturday night was like against Fair State. I mean, the blackout, the almost 27,000 fans in attendance. Just what was it like as a player to be in that atmosphere?
Yeah, more than anything, I think we tried to block out the distractions in terms of the blackout, the fireworks show. And obviously we knew Sean O'Malley was going to be there, but from a player perspective, we really wanted to dial in on doing our assignments and playing as fast and physical as we can, and then ultimately go out and get the job done and get a win. When
you guys are trying to block out those distractions but kind of enjoy them at the same time, is it difficult, or are you guys kind of used to that, knowing that, you know, it's always kind of the same thing week by week?
I think we're kind of used to it. That's kind of tough because obviously Washington Grizzly is a distraction in itself with 25,000 screaming fans, but ultimately we just, you know, we show up on Saturdays to win. That's what we want to do. So
ultimately, when you get the win, one of the best parts of it is the celebration. You guys got a chance to celebrate with Sugar Sean afterwards. It was really cool seeing him raise the flag, and then you guys got to have him in the locker room as well. What was it like being around him and just having him there to be there supporting you guys?
That was one of the coolest experiences of my life, being able to have a world champion in the locker room celebrating us. But he knows what it's like putting in hard work day in and day out to go and achieve something. So having that connection, that was super cool. And yeah, I hope he comes back again sometime.
A lot of fans for you guys, for him as well. I mean, you guys are in the locker room, the Instagram stories, the posts. It was really cool. Like, you know, just getting a chance to celebrate with your teammates and him. It just seemed like you guys were having a good time.
Yeah, Montana guy. He was excited about the win. We were excited to have him in there. And so, yeah, he was ready to roll. He stayed for the whole game, and then we saw him on the sidelines getting rowdy with the fans. So that was really cool to see as well.
That's awesome. So walk me through this game. The game obviously had some ebbs and flows. Fair State, very good Division II team, and gave you guys kind of a run for your money and tested you guys as opposed to the previous 2 games. So just playing in that game, overcoming adversity, what was it like, and how were you guys able to close it out, especially in that second half? It seemed like things kind of turned for you guys.
Defensively, you know, I've said it before, we're a resilient group. We knew they were going to make plays. They have good players. I think half their team was Division I players at one point. You know, they're not a Division II team by any means. So yeah, we knew they were going to be able to make plays, and more than anything, we just want to be able to fight the adversity.
Well, so for you, Ryder, obviously, one of the cool parts of your story is a small town guy, right? Class B, represent Fairfield, Montana. You've waited your turn to get this opportunity playing for defense. You've been a standout on special teams, kind of like guys like Trevin Gradney and some of these other guys, some of these rising stars who are starting to see more playing time. So for you, how special has this been, kind of getting your number called and getting a chance to, you know, help your team to a 3-0 start?
Yeah, like you said, being from small town Fairfield, Montana, I take a lot of pride in that, and being a small town kid. Montana has been fortunate to have a lot of small town guys come here and be able to perform very well, and so I'm just grateful that, you know, the coaches have given me an opportunity to be able to go out on Saturdays and be able to show what I can do.
Guys like you, Trevin, Ryan Tyrrell, getting a chance to see their numbers called. I know you guys are all very tight-knit off the field, so what's it like kind of rising together?
The walkthrough of Butler, I looked on the field, and it was Trevin next to me, it was Ryan next to me, and, you know, I've grown up with those guys in this program, so now that it's finally our turn, it's really special, and I'm very happy for them and the season they're having. They're unbelievable players, and I'm grateful to be friends with them.
Now, football is obviously in your blood because your brother and your father played at Rocky Mountain College in Billings. Your brother is now a coach at North Dakota State. Obviously, you're here. You know, like the sport of football just seems like something that's always attached to the Meyer family. Is that something, coaching something you're looking forward? I know your dad was a high school coach as well. And, you know, what is it about this game that's kind of attracted the Meyer boys?
Personally, I think I would like to pursue coaching in some form or fashion. I don't know yet if I want to go the college route, if I want to do high school, but that is something that I think I want to do. And then what's pulled me towards football, I guess, is just the guys and the camaraderie that you have. And I don't think I'm quite ready to be done with that once I'm done playing. I want to help young people be able to be better versions of themselves, I guess, is probably the biggest reason why football is so special to me.
Well, Ryder, congratulations to you on the start of the season so far, and looking forward to watching you play the rest of the season.
Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And coming up, Riley Corcoran rejoins the show with me as we look ahead to Montana's upcoming conference game against Northern Arizona.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Welcome back to the Grizz Insider. Non-conference play is complete. The Grizzlies 3-0, right on the fringe of being in the top 10 in the FCS. And before we talk about the next opponent, Northern Arizona, let's get Coach Hauck's thoughts.
Well, it's interesting. We both played Utah Tech in consecutive weeks leading up to our game. That's a little bit unique. So we have that film to compare off of. As far as the score goes, NAU turned it over 5 times and gave up touchdowns with the offense, and they were down big. I think 36-7 or 38-7 at half. So, Utah Tech, we talked about it that week. They've got the kind of offense that can go up and down the field, and if they start scoring, they can score, they can throw it, they know how to do it. So that'll be valuable film. I think this will be a good game. You and I have talked a lot about NAU this offseason, and I had a real high regard for them in terms of where I had them ranked in the conference and nationally. I'll be anxious to see the film and see if that opinion has changed, but I think NAU's got a good team.
Well, the Lumberjacks will provide quite the test, and I know they're 0-3, but always tricky things happen down in the Sky Dome. But, Kyle, before we get into the matchup, it is conference play. I know that 2 of us and a lot of Grizz fans have been looking forward to non-conference being complete, and now the quest for a Big Sky Conference title. What's caught your eye so far through the last couple of weeks as we start setting the stage for the Big Sky?
Idaho Vandals, man. Yeah. I mean, what a start for Idaho right now. And I know they came up short against Cal. We're winning 17-0, weren't quite able to pull it out, but obviously they beat Nevada. They looked the part, and then Sac State. Troy Taylor playing his old team, and they got him when they played Stanford. So the takeaway from the last few years is just that the conference has been good. And I think conference play is always very exciting for that reason, because we're now going to see Montana play some of these teams. And the league is very top-heavy, but it's very good. And, the games are really going to matter now.
Well, I think, Kyle, the top 6 in the league may be as good as it's ever been. And
Agreed.
6 teams that are legit in the top 15. And now, all of a sudden, don't forget about Eastern Washington. They're a team that's actually surprised me. Grizzlies don't play them this year, but they lose in double overtime to Fresno State, and then they beat a ranked Southeast Louisiana team last weekend. So they might be a team to watch out for. There's going to be no easy games in the league this year, and I think the debate, right, Big Sky Conference against Missouri Valley, would you be on board with saying, hey, it's finally the Big Sky's turn? Because I think absolutely, the Missouri Valley, they're always going to have North Dakota State and South Dakota State, but strength in numbers, and I think the Big Sky Conference from top to bottom is a better league now.
I completely agree. And you look at these teams, and it's a shame they don't get to play everybody. That's kind of like the one hiccup with it. Like, I wish the Grizz got to see Eastern. I wish they got to play Weber State this year. But we don't get to see that. But that makes for some fun debate. But, I mean, the league is so good. You're going to see Idaho play the Bobcats, the Grizz, and Weber State. You're going to see some of these, weird crossovers. You're going to see Sac State get a chance to finally play Montana State. Some of these matchups we haven't seen the last few years. And I think that's going to make it for a very exciting league season.
So let's talk about the Lumberjacks. Very surprising that they're out to an 0-3 start. And last week, I think all of us were stunned to see they got blasted by Utah Tech.
Right. Utah Tech obviously playing both the Montana schools, getting blown out of the water by both. NAU, you've just wondered about them because it's a good coaching staff. They have these nationally ranked recruiting classes at the FCS. They get a lot of Division I drop-downs. I'm shocked that they're 0-3, but you never know because you're going to play at elevation now. You're playing in a dome. Maybe NAU's fired up, seeing after a loss like that. So you just never know. It's a weird result, but you can't take them lightly.
Well, you look at what Northern Arizona has. They've got a transfer from Cal in at quarterback. Their leading running back, a transfer from Memphis. The talent is there, and they will bring their best for the Grizzlies. So we will find that out on Saturday, but we'll wrap up the show next here on the Grizz Insider.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Well, that'll do it for us here on the Grizz Insider. Montana opening conference play against Northern Arizona, and you can catch the game right here on MTN, and it's going to be a fun conference play.
It should be. To get back into the swing of things, Grizzlies looking for their first conference title since 2009. We always know tricky things happen in the Walk-Up Sky Dome. The Lumberjacks will bring their best for the Grizz at 1 o'clock.
Absolutely. Don't let the record fool you. It's going to be a big game, and the second season is officially here. And as always, thanks so much for joining us. For Riley Corcoran, I'm Kyle Hansen, and we'll see you next week on the Grizz Insider.